Hi, I'm Annalise Humran.
Jason Salguero.
Alexander Kim.
Gianna Hudden.
Aiden Kong.
Riley Tendler.
Cayetana Jaramillo.
Lexi Flores.
I'm Shiloh Marcus.
Al Corvick.
Angelina Astic.
Madison Morris.
Sebastian Munoz.
Gabe DeBrito.
Melanie Villar.
Anna Martinez.
Allison Gold. Brayton Brown.
Shanice Patriarchis. Merrick Anderson.
Tracy Weinbach.
Daniel Solomon.
Bella Martin.
Ben Siegel.
Caitlin Carmona. Kathy Zomers. Jordan Lazar.
Ja'Cory Brooks.
I applied to about 10 schools.
18 universities.
About 9 schools.
To 11 schools.
28 colleges.
11 schools.
10 schools.
7 schools.
6 colleges.
9 colleges.
3 colleges.
16 colleges.
7 colleges.
13 colleges before finding out about my ED school, but I had the intention to apply to about 18.
10 colleges. 8 colleges. 19 colleges.
8 universities, and I was planning on applying to 7 more following early decision.
If I didn't get into my ED school, I would have applied to 11 more schools. 12 schools.
13 schools.
8 schools, but if I did not get into my ED, I would have applied to about 5 more.
5 colleges, and I got accepted into all 5.
I'm going to Georgia Tech,
Florida International University.
University of Miami as a STAMP scholar.
Pomona College through the Posse Scholarship.
University of Toronto.
University of Texas at Austin.
Brown University.
University of Michigan.
Florida Gulf Coast University Honors College. Go Eagles.
University of South Carolina to swim.
Florida State University's Honors Program. Go Knowles.
FIU Honors College.
St. Louis University to play men's tennis.
The University of Florida Honors.
Miami-Dade Honors College.
Duke University.
Northwestern University. Stanford University.
Syracuse University as a Posse Scholar.
Princeton University.
Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University.
UC Berkeley.
Brown University.
Dartmouth College.
Tulane University.
University of Florida as part of the honors program.
UCLA. Washington University, also known as WashU in St. Louis.
The University of South Florida.
I am also a STAMP scholar, and a little bit about what STAMP scholarships are is essentially it's a scholarship that'll cover your tuition, your room and board, your meals, and it also provides enrichment funding. So those times that you're not doing school in those semesters, you could do an unpaid internship or travel or go to a conference or anything of your dream to enrich your understanding and knowledge.
Yeah, so essentially it's a partnership that the Stamps family has with several schools across the nation. So Annalise is representing Georgia Tech, of course, and I'm representing the University of Miami, but I know that the University of Michigan is also among one of the roster. But it's a national program, and as Annalise said, they kind of broker a conference between all of the Stamp scholars from across the nation. So the hope is that you get to meet more stimulating people along the way through this program, in addition to the actual incentives that they lay out financially.
So I wanted to stay in Miami, but I also wasn't sure on what I wanted to study yet. And Miami-Dade Honors has a really good program. It's a 2-year program, and it's completely free if you have like a good GPA, and you can also get a scholarship for the school, and it gives you a lot of internship opportunities, and you can also join clubs, make your own clubs, meet different people who have the same career choice, and I just think it was the best financial option as well.
Everybody, if you are not, for some reason, the president of this club, or you're not active in this thing, you could be very active in another field. I find that the competition is very, very minimal because high schools is very low stakes in the way that you can try and fail things, and if you just give yourself kind of the benefit of doubt and be a little bit unafraid to fail within reason, you should be good. I really do find that the community at Palmetto has only really lifted me up. I've met a lot of tremendous people, some of the smartest people I've met up to this point in my life, and I'd kind of like to pass it on to Annalise. Maybe you have some of those people in your life too.
I 100% agree with everything Alex said, and I'd like to add on another great quality of Palmetto that makes it less competitive and more collaborative, and we can be ambitious side by side, is that it's so diverse and big, that everyone has interests, and maybe generally you have the same interests as someone else, but when you kind of really get down to it, everyone can find their own specific niche or program to start or need to fill or thing to study that's just a bit different than everybody else. So it kind of takes out a little bit of that competitiveness because there's so many opportunities and so many different interests.
Okay, I would say that Palmetto is definitely a competitive environment depending on who you surround yourself with, because you can either be in like, your friends can be really competitive or they might not be. So I would say kind of gauge where you stand in the whole school rather than just your friend group to kind of understand your chances and your odds of getting into a highly selective university.
Yeah, I agree with her. I do think there's definitely like a competitive energy about our school, which does get difficult sometimes. And part of it is definitely like an internal sort of competitiveness, but I think the best way to like deal with that is to find other people who you can not only feel like competitive with, like try to make it more of a positive thing, like you push yourselves to work harder while also like positively supporting each other and being there for each other when necessary.
I think that there was a lot of anxiety with Palmetto. There are, especially for students that are looking to get into competitive schools, there is a lot of pressure in regards to, like how many advanced placement classes you should take. I think at the end of the day, you don't necessarily have to take, you should take the most rigorous course load that you have, but if you want to take any electives or taking advantage of additional classes, don't feel like by doing that, it will affect your admission into college. Because I did the Panther, there are other opportunities like television production that will really help you advance your own passions, and colleges like to see that.
Yeah, I'd say there's definitely a certain pressure at Palmetto, but I'd also like qualify that by saying like most people at Palmetto are like willing to help each other out, and like just like ask your friends for help is like definitely a great way to just like relieve some of that pressure, because then like you're not the only one going through it. You're all kind of in the same boat. I'd also say that like Anna said with the APs, since like there's no limit on like how many you can take, you often feel inclined to take like as many as possible. But if you like really don't want to take a certain class, like I don't think you should be like feel pressured to take that certain class just because like other people are taking it, and just kind of do what's best for you in the end.
I definitely think Palmetto does offer a very supportive community throughout the process. At least in my experience throughout the first semester of my senior year, I found that my teachers were very supportive and constantly reminding for deadlines and just keeping you on track. And I think it's important to remember that not every student is going to have the same application. There's no specific mold that colleges are looking for. I found that all of my friends had a unique application, and we all were accepted into universities that we really wanted to attend. So just know that there's no, set APs or club or positions you need to have at the end of the day. It's the way you craft your application that's unique to you.
So I wanted to just take a minute and talk about accessibility, because this was a really, really instrumental part of my college application that might very well be the case for a lot of underclassmen that might be watching this. So those who don't know me, I'm legally blind, and that's played a huge role in my high school experience, my academic experience, and most definitely the college experience. So I would say, if you know that this is something that a demographic that you fall under, you really want to make sure to do your research to see what schools are accessible. I took a lot of time over the summer before my before my senior year, and I went through all of the schools that I had any interest in applying to, and I came up with a list of factors that affect my specific disability and accessibility needs, and said, this school cannot do this school does not meet this school does not meet this. And like for instance, one of the things I knew is I didn't want to be in a big city, because that's very hard with my visual impairment. So I knew that I didn't want to apply to Columbia, for instance, because that's in New York City. So I went through the the factors that would be a limitation for me. And I also, once I narrowed that list down, I reached out to the accessibility departments. I think that as a general matter, a lot of these schools, if you have questions, you should definitely reach out, and definitely reach out to current students. I reached out to a lot of accessibility departments, speaking with staff. I also spoke with a lot of students that had my same sort of experience at that university. I spoke with students at Georgetown and Brown and UM, etc. So I think that it's really important to just make sure, especially if you're planning on applying early decision, you want to make sure that the school is going to be able to accommodate your needs, and don't just assume that it will, because especially going through the public school system, transitioning into possibly a private school is definitely a lot different.
What I wish I knew was more about the college application process, including Common App, which is a general application that you can send off to many schools, as well as the stress and the toll that it can take on you if you don't start fast enough, if you procrastinate like most of us do in our schoolwork. So just make sure you stay on top of it and stay involved.
Yeah, everything Marion said and more. Like, obviously some days are gonna be hard. You know, we're just kids at the end of the day, teenagers, rising adults as we're like, you come into your senior year, of course. But definitely just try your best. Honestly, your 4 years here,
best time of your life.
Best time of your life. Every year is gonna be different, every year is gonna be new, and it's hard to kind of like put into words what you're gonna experience, but I think the main thing to take away is be yourself, try your hardest, and if at first you don't succeed, I mean, it's okay, we didn't either, but try again, and soon you're gonna be us, you're gonna be going to your dream school, FAM, Syracuse, UF, FSU, whatever twinkles your heart. Yeah.
I would say, kind of like what I said before, always follow your passion. I don't think it's healthy for people to just focus on the idea of getting into a top college. I think that can be really destructive and unhealthy. I think if you follow your passion, so you go into high school and you like math a lot, go join math clubs, take hard math classes, always challenge yourself in stuff you like. And on that path, you'll find your college. You know, maybe it's not Harvard or MIT. Maybe your college is something that's good for your major. You know, if you like history, maybe it's not going to be Harvard, but it could be like College of William and Mary. Something that kind of fits your interests and passions, you will find along the way as long as you follow them in high school.
I think also another thing is that, like, I spent a lot of my high school career leading up to junior year focusing a lot on academic perfection, and I did follow my passion. I found I took AP Environmental Science, fell in love with it, and delved into that world as much as I could, which I don't regret at all, but also look outside that passion as well. I ended up writing 2 of my college essays, the supplemental essays on diving in badminton, which I joined both in my senior year, a month before I started college applications. So you could make an unexpected story and find a lesson out of anything, honestly. And don't focus your entire life around getting into a top college, like Jason said. Really embrace being a teenager and being a high school junior, sophomore, senior, whatever it may be, freshman, and take time to enjoy the experience, and maybe you'll find a story out of something you didn't even expect that you would love.
I wish I knew more about Palmetto, because I didn't know they had a lot of programs to offer. So definitely look into that before coming into the school, and maybe taking steps to make my own club or to stand out more in the school activities.
I wish I knew more about scholarships, because I didn't know what Bright Futures was until my junior year, and it was already really late. So I recommend taking your SATs from junior to senior year, because trust me, you're gonna need more time, because it's not as easy as people make it out to be. I wish I knew more about scholarships. I wish I knew more, I just wish I knew different schools, because they don't talk about this in middle school. So I was thrown into high school, and then they told me, oh yeah, just get Bright Futures. I didn't even know what that was. And then I was I just find out that I have to score an amazing score to get all this money. It was just a whole lot. And to cram it into my senior year when there were only 8 available tests wasn't a lot, because it wasn't good. It was really hard. I was stressing a lot.
This is amazing. You guys are perfect.
The biggest piece of advice that I could give to an underclassman is to just have fun in high school. Get involved with the different things that you really enjoy and that you could see yourself doing in the future. All of the extracurriculars and the activities that you get involved in high school are going to be things that offer you a lot of opportunities in the future. So if you enjoy what you're doing rather than just doing it to put on a resume or for your colleges, you're definitely going to have a better time in the future and you're going to get a lot more out of it.
For me, my advice for underclassmen would be don't feel super overwhelmed when you come here. I know it can be overwhelming your first year, but by sophomore year, you should get the hang of everything. Personally, I didn't get involved in my clubs, such as TVP and Student Council, which I'm most prominent in, until sophomore year. And since then, I've been gaining leadership in those clubs. But freshman year is all about trying everything, adjusting to everything, seeing what you like, seeing what you don't like. So that would be my best advice is to, I know it can feel overwhelming, but don't feel overwhelmed your first year. You will figure it out by sophomore year.
I would say the best thing to do is to just be authentic while you're at high school. Colleges don't want to see you piling on a bunch of activities and extracurriculars because you think it'll be impressive to them or make you look better. They want to see that you have an interest. And so the best way to show them that you're interested in something is to actually find what you're interested in and stick with it.
Okay, I would agree with that completely. And also, when you find like a school that you're really into, I would look into that and see what they value, because even though it might seem like all schools kind of value the same thing, there's kind of like some schools will value more of like a service aspect. You might want to focus more on that, whereas others might want to see like if you have a spike in like an academic arena, basically. So if it's like a highly like science school and you're like more of a humanities person, you should look into a school that's more of a humanities school.
So what I really want to say is that the whole not application process, but acceptance process it's kind of random in a way, in the sense that they really are just looking for people and like a specific thing. And so maybe in one application you are able to reflect yourself better and you are more able to kind of demonstrate what you want, what you're looking for, and how that school meets it. So you'll get into that school and maybe you won't get into another school. It's really about who you are and who they feel really belongs at the school and that they can thrive at the school. Like for example, I got into WashU and I did not get into Columbia, but I have a friend who got into Columbia, Duke, and I think UPenn, and she did not get into WashU. So somewhere in the application, they felt that I would be a better fit at that school and that I really just wanted it. So I would say don't stress out over getting into, obviously stress out, like you're gonna want to get into this school, but whoever you get into, that's where you're meant to be, because all of those application officers that looked at it decided that you belong at that school. So then just really look at the schools that you apply to and from that decide. Like at UF, I know it's kind of a random process. So at that point, just do your best, apply, show who you are. And if you don't get in, there are gonna be a bunch of other schools that you can get into and that you're gonna love, because that's where you belong. Where you get accepted into is at the end of the day where they feel you belong and probably where you're gonna find your new home. So I would say really just trust the process, honestly. And at a school like UF, I would actually recommend, if you have the statistics, applying to the honors program or a specific program, because they're more focused on looking into your application. They really go through it and see if you meet the criteria, as opposed to the regular decision where it's kind of more of a random selection process. So if you have the grades, go for the honors program. It really is an amazing program. It puts you in a sort of a smaller private school like environment in this bigger school, and I think it is a really amazing program. So if you're gonna do that, do honors.
I probably wish that I would have known that, like I said before, the amount of APs does not decide where you're gonna go to college, and if you're gonna go to a good one or the one that you dream to go to. APs are nice to have when you're in college, so you get credits off of the classes that you have to take, but it's not as important as everyone makes it out to be. It's nice to take them because it prepares you for college classes, and I'm very happy that I took the opportunity to, but I'm also very happy that I gave myself the time to ease into the harder classes in high school and not take so many APs at the beginning of the year. It really helped me with preparing for the workload and everything like that.
For me, throughout high school, I would think of colleges and be like, oh, I'm just gonna apply there, I'll apply there too. And when you're actually sitting in front of your Common App and looking at 4 supplements, 3 supplements, 2 supplements, you just do not have the time for that or the energy, and you wanna have fun your senior year. So my biggest piece of advice is to start early so that if you do have a lot of places that you want to apply to, you can get started on that. And definitely research the schools that interest you and make sure that they do actually interest you and that there are specific programs and clubs and just aspects of the college that are true to you, because especially these big name schools, like a lot of our Ivies, of course, it sounds great on a paper and they're fantastic schools to go to, but if you're not fit for that school and they don't cater to the kind of person that you want to be in the future, then that's not where you should be going. So for me, for Michigan, I was looking into it and I found programs that just piqued my interest, and I decided to apply. When I went to visit, I was obsessed with the campus and I saw myself spending 4 years there, which is why I was able to decide on Michigan.
I think one thing I could definitely say was when you're getting your application together, you have those spots on Common App where you can only put a certain amount of activities. I think one thing you really do need to think about is what you want the application committee to see about you. If you don't feel confident putting it down on the application, don't, because if you don't feel confident about it, the application committee will probably see that. So just make sure that you're really showing your true self, and yeah.
I'd say, colleges would rather than you putting down a million things, put down a little bit less activities, but ones that were extremely meaningful to you, that you can explain, that you had fun doing. And I think they'll see that more than if you had a bunch of activities that you didn't really care about.
So the biggest thing that I realized is that when it comes to applying to a college and finding the right college for you, it's not always just about going to the most prestigious, the one that's mostly recognized by name, but there's a lot of other factors that go into it, especially finding a school that's a right fit for you, not only academically, but the whole environment, even scholarships come into consideration. So for me personally, I did get into many prestigious, for example, Carnegie Mellon's #1 school in computer science, but when it came down to it, I just had to realize that as a whole school and as a whole experience, UF was a better fit for me. And considering the scholarships that I received and my career goals, I thought it was overall a better option for me.
So for me, I think college applications seemed like this really big thing that's really scary. And while yes, it's really big and it's really scary, I think I learned that it's possible to do everything. You do your essays, you do your application, you talk to Ms. Dwyer, you talk to your parents, and you go step by step, because if you look at everything at once, it's impossible to do. You do it in steps, right? So I also think the biggest thing I learned was I think I came to terms with the fiscal aspect of it. I'm going to a Florida school. I'm lucky enough to have Florida Prepaid and Bright Futures and different scholarships. So I think choosing something, knowing that I want to go on and pursue a graduate degree, understanding that maybe for my undergraduate degree, I will choose a more fiscally sound option for myself, I think was really an important decision to come to.
Okay, I have 3 tips. Don't involve yourself in things that you don't actually care about. Freshman year for me was definitely putting out my feelers, and then sophomore year is when I really got involved in things that I'm passionate about. I think that's what really helped my college application stand out, because I actually cared about the things that I was involved in. The other thing was be open-minded with the college process. You're not going to know where it takes you, and that's really okay. You can definitely have goals in mind, but don't force yourself to only one school. You should definitely approach it in multiple, and then take leadership opportunities. Go and take leadership in the clubs that you really, really care about.
Yeah, what Ali said, and if you have something you really like to do, try to pursue that to the fullest extent possible. So don't, let's say you really like math, try to do something on maybe a national scale if you can, or even a statewide scale. Don't feel like you have to just do something at Palmetto or within Pinecrest. And then the other thing is, don't worry about your GPA too much, because even if maybe it's one fewer AP class. If it's one fewer AP class, or you're comparing your GPA and it's a couple points lower, if you're taking a class that you really like, then I think colleges will be able to recognize that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I kind of overwhelmed myself with course load. I just took like a lot of AP classes, and like I had a lot of stuff going on. I was involved in multiple sorts and stuff. So I feel like if I kind of knew more like the direction I was going to go in, I would take different classes and kind of prioritize like my mental health more, because I was really stressed out with a lot of assignments. So I feel like I kind of overdid it at times.
I think the same. I don't think I took too many APs. I think I could have done more my freshman year and my sophomore year, but I think the biggest thing is prioritizing your mental health. A lot of us struggle with burnout and different things like that, and we all know it's very real. It's a very real thing. We're validating that. We all have experienced it. The biggest thing is to prioritize yourself, understand that school is important, but you do come first. We need you to be feeling the most comfortable, feeling healthy, feeling happy in order to be a good academic, to be a good student, to be a good friend, daughter, son, all the different roles that you have in life. Yeah, I think just making sure that you take care of yourself, I think is the biggest thing.
I think communication is really, really important in every type of interpersonal relationships. And when it comes to college, having a good sort of communication between, children and their parents can really help you figure out the logistics of college before it comes, talking about how you would pay for it, about how you would live, sort of getting the logistics and the actual, financial needs out of the way before you decide on your college, and kind of getting them used to the idea, because it's a big change for a lot of parents to have their children leave the nest. And I think talking about it before it happens can really help you guys get used to the idea and can make the transition a lot easier. You're able to make your decision faster. You can apply for scholarships more. You can do early decision if you have it all set out first. So communication is key.
I definitely would also add that, I'm a very independent student, which some kids are, some kids aren't. But to trust your kid, I'm someone who did not take a lot of, my mom was almost offended when I didn't want her to read my college essay. And we had a whole little dispute about it. And I was I just really want to trust myself in this. And so trust your kid. I got into a great college with a great scholarship, and my mom never read my essay until after I got in. And so trust what they want to do, and they know what's best for them sometimes. And I know there's always the parental instinct, but you got to trust them and their intuition as they are taking this next step into adulthood. And really, I think that would be my best advice. And, while you might be afraid that they don't have mentorship outside the home, I'm sure they do. I had great mentors that were able to guide me in my essay writing. And I really, really appreciate the network I had. And my mom did eventually get to read it. So you could be a little pushy in that. Eventually it was okay.
Okay, so some advice that I would give to parents, I think for me, was having my parents not be super involved, just helping guide me through the process, making a lot of decisions for myself, and just having their support. Kind of just not butting out, but just making sure that you're not forcing them to do anything that they don't want to do, or applying to any schools that they don't want to apply to.
Yeah, and I think unless you notice that there's a problem, or I don't think it's really necessary to get super involved. Maybe encourage your kid to apply to a school if you think would be a great fit for them, or encourage them to apply for a scholarship, but don't be overbearing about it.
Yeah. Parents, I think it's really important just to kind of support your kid, and of course they want to make you proud just as much as they want to make themselves proud. And I think just don't be a hover parent. I know sometimes it's hard, but you just kind of have to let your kid go and let them find their way on their own. And I promise at Palmetto, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to come into their own. And I think the environment and the teachers and seriously that administration, it's so amazing and so important that they just kind of communicate with them, and they're really, really in good hands.
I'd say parents, you got to know your kid. Obviously help them along through the process, but you don't want to place too much stress on them, or make it a huge deal with this whole college thing. everything's gonna end up fine and it's gonna come naturally to them, hopefully. So kind of help them along through the process, like guide them, but don't place so much stress on them so that it affects their life and their mental health and whatever.
Don't be a helicopter parent. I think that helicopter parenting, I'm not a parent, but I don't think it works. My mom always says she's raising an adult, not a child. So I think that your student needs to understand that they need to take responsibility for their own actions and their academics and the things they do in school and out, so that they grow as an individual and become a responsible young adult. I think that's just the biggest thing.
Children be in charge of their college process, to let them explore more freely the different paths and programs they want to see, because ultimately they know it's the best fit for them. And obviously you can support and guide them, but I think just letting them explore things on their own is good.
Definitely to be supportive. It's a very stressful time. It's very anxiety. It requires a lot of patience, and it's very nitty-gritty, you know, going over those applications. And I think any student can just use support at home and support in the decisions and dreams that they want to pursue.
I would say for parents, just try and do some of your own research, like get familiar with like the different terms like early action, early decision, things like that, because it definitely helps when your child is trying to explain like what they want to do in their application process. And also just like, I guess, know your kid, like if they are like super stressed out and they just need someone to like be there and like not necessarily like harp on them, then like just be that supportive pillar for them. But if they're not like as on top of things, then like try and push them to like get all their applications done and things like that.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think establishing a line of communication that works best between you and your child, because as Aiden said, everyone is different. Some people might be super independent, and obviously you should still be there for your child either way. But I think that kind of figuring out what works best for your child in regards to the college admissions process, and just being there as a pillar of support.
Best thing, the most fun thing that I did at Palmetto was joining the cheer team in 9th grade. And I continued that all of my years here, just being like in every football game, basketball game, pep rally, like it was just it was me. It was great that I found myself as a cheerleader here. Like many people here, they know like me as one of the cheerleaders. So just joining that team and finding my family here was the best thing that I could have ever done.
Yeah, I think being involved in general is just so much fun. But definitely the football games. Go to those football games, go to those pep rallies, be loud. Okay, that's your chance, that's your time.
Scream.
Scream. So that's my thing.
Yeah, so my weekly schedule is actually pretty rough, not gonna lie. Like it gets to you sometimes. So 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I swim in the morning actually before school at 5 a.m. for about like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And then I go to school, come home, do homework for a couple hours, and then go back for like a combination of swimming and weights. That's about a total of 2.5 hours every single day. And then go home, eat, finish whatever I have left for homework, and then sleep. So as you can imagine, it's pretty tough to balance school and my swim routine, but you just have to be really good at managing your time. That's key to your success in school and in the whatever sport you're doing. So, yeah.
Okay, so my weekly routine is on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I have practice for 3 hours, just tennis, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays I'll have tennis for 2 hours, and then I'll have fitness after. So after that, after I have school and then I have practice, I'll go back home, probably stretch, probably have like a snack, and then I'll do some homework, eat dinner, and then finish up some work and go to bed, and then like same routine every day for 5 days a week. Or I think probably try to stay as disciplined as possible with like everything you're trying to do, because if you don't have like a schedule and you're not disciplined with like your work ethic, then I think it's going to be hard to get recruited. And probably if you trying to look for some help, probably contact like some recruiters, which is what I did, and then they help you get like a variety of options of schools to pick out of.
Yeah, piggybacking off of what Sebastian just said, it's really important to have a lot of discipline and a lot of time management skills so you can keep your GPA high and like challenge yourself as best as possible while also challenging yourself as best as possible in your sport so you can really excel there and get noticed by the colleges you're interested in. And when that time does come around where they can start contacting you, it's really important to put yourself out there instead of wait for them to come to you, because there are going to be a lot of kids that are around your level that are also really wanting to go to the schools that you're interested in. So by reaching out to them first, it really sets yourself apart from everyone else and shows that you're interested in them, and it gets you on their radar really, really easily. And when you start talking to them, it's very important to be yourself and be authentic and show a lot of enthusiasm, because at the end of the day, they know that you're just a teenager trying to get into college. So it's really, once you get there, it's really not as stressful as you think it is. So just try not to stress as much about it, even though it is very stressful. Like, I was very stressed going into it, but it'll be okay. It'll all play out the way you want it to. Some advice for parents that we have is to be as involved as you can, because I know a lot of parents probably work and have their own very busy lives, but as someone who's gone through the recruiting process, I, for one, can say that it's very, very important to have like a support system around you that can help you out and like console you, like get you through the process, like emotionally, and like nudge you in the right direction. But at the same time, it is very important to not be a little too overbearing, because it is as stressful, if not more, on them, because it's their lives and their future that's ahead of them. So, and at the end of the day, it is also their decision that they're going to make. So you gotta have to let them take a little bit of control in the situation. And at the end of the day, it's best to support what they end up deciding. So, yeah.
I would say probably to not put so much pressure on your children, because I think the more pressure they're already having enough pressure trying to play and be like the best athlete as possible and have a really good GPA in school. So I would say just try to stay as calm as possible and help them out, just to know what they want to do in the future, and like make sure that the school that they're picking is like the best option for them and like what you think is the best option. I think my parents thought that this school was the best option for me, so I support if they support me. So yeah.
Don't stress out over that test, that assignment, that everything. And sometimes you're gonna mess up, and sometimes you might fail a test. And believe me, we've had times where we haven't done that great. You will go to college. You will be okay. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes. Just be responsible and go forth, and you're gonna be fine.
Just make sure you learn from your mistakes, because you're gonna make mistakes, like Angelina was saying. So you gotta learn from that and grow, because high school is all about growth. Like, you're not the same person you were freshman year when you're graduating. So just make sure you learn from all of this experience and like get ready for college. Start thinking of what you want to study. That's one thing I think a lot of people don't have. Like, go into college with like a purpose, or try to find a purpose. Find something that you want to study, something you want to do, what you want to get involved in, etc.
I think just be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself and others, and explore your interests as much as you can.
Go Gators.
I would say just have as much fun as possible with like your sport and everything. Just don't regret anything, because these moments, like, they don't come all the time. So yeah, that's really it.
I agree 100%. It's best to not like look too far ahead and get caught up in the moment. Like, you just need to enjoy the time while you still have it, and you get to cross that bridge. You'll cross that bridge when you get there, and even when you get there, you'll realize like it's way more fun and like exciting than nerve-wracking and like really, really stressful than you might imagine. So just take it day by day and enjoy every moment of it, because you only get one recruiting process. So it's really cool.
don't think twice about reaching out or talking to someone to get some kind of opportunity or to make something happen for yourself. Live for yourself and don't be, too shy about that kind of thing. Always chase, that network connection or that person that you could, be with or hang out with or start a group with or get an idea from. So, you have anything to add, Alex?
Stay hungry, stay foolish. That's about it, yeah.
My last piece of advice goes for the juniors. Last year was so stressful academically for me, and I don't regret taking any of the classes I did junior year, but the workload was tough, and especially with COVID, social life wasn't really a concept that was familiar. But senior year is just so fun, and I've had the most amazing time, like becoming so close with so many people in my grade. And I would just recommend like taking a look at the people around in your classes and like making those final friends, because as graduation approaches, I'm thinking about the people that I never hung out with outside of school, but always made me laugh in fourth period. And I'm gonna miss them so much, which is just crazy to think about, but just enjoy it, honestly.
My last piece of advice would be to make sure to create good relationships with your teachers. In senior year, you're going to need to ask teachers for recommendations for college. You might need a few if you're doing scholarships, and it's just really, really important to have a good relationship with your teachers, because if you want them to write you recommendations, if they don't really know you, they might not have anything to base it off of. And you want your recommendations to be good, because they do really, really help you for getting into the school that you want. Colleges really love to see recommendations from teachers who really know the student and isn't just like a generic letter that they basically get from every single teacher.
Trust Miss Dwyer. She knows not. I'm so serious. I didn't even want to go to college until this year, until like senior year. I transferred into Palmetto my senior year of school. Miss Dwyer pulled me in her office and she was like, "You're gonna go to college." And I was like, "Okay." And she guided me through it step by step with the Common App, everything. I was prepared. I never felt lost because she was always telling me what to do, and she made it super easy. She's going to be the best advisor you're gonna have for your college experience. I'm telling you. But yeah.
And have fun in high school. Don't stress too much, and always have time for friends as well.
Like, have a social life, trust me.
I think definitely just being involved. I know for me personally, that was one of the main things that I kind of realized, not even my freshman year, I'll be honest with you, but sophomore year and junior year, it kind of struck me like, wow, like I need to be active in my school community. I need to get involved, because there's so much more than just good grades and academics. You need to like pursue some things that you're passionate about, because I think colleges definitely look for that. So,
as Jenny said, you should just be a very well-rounded student, as well as being involved doing your community service. Try athletics, maybe something you've never tried before, but just make sure you are involved. And
absolutely, and your Common App.
Stay informed. Know your administrators, know your teachers. If you need help, ask for it. And yeah.
I think I would just say college application process seems scary, but it gets done. You will write those essays. You will get through with the deadlines, and it's a very rewarding experience in the end. It may not be the path that you thought you would take on, but like everyone says, and as cliche as it is, you will end up where you need to be. And just know there's so much support here at Palmetto around you.
I would say look at like financial aid and scholarships early on, because you don't want to like get your hopes up if you can't pay for school, or also like you just want to see what type of like aid that each school offers. Like that's like one of the main reasons why I applied to a lot of schools, because I was kind of playing the scholarship game, like hoping that a school would give me like a nice package. So I'd say make sure to get on that. And then also just like give yourself a break. Like it's all gonna be okay. It may seem like overwhelming like in the months leading up to it, like August, September, but in the end, like, you will get through it. You just gotta like push until December, and then it'll all be over, and you'll end up where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, kind of going back to the admissions process. Entering my freshman year, college was always this thing, looming over my head, and I kind of thought that in order to get into selective schools, you had to be this kind of two-dimensional student who took every single AP course, maybe became the president of a club, and that's the only way that you could get into these selective colleges. But in reality, they look at so much more than that. Take advantage of things that you're interested in. There's no single candidate that's colleges look at to accept. Like, you could do many different things. Doesn't even have to be it doesn't have to be like within Palmetto. It could be within the community. Every single person is different. You're going to have some wins, some losses, but by the end of it, it'll all work out.